Alrighty guys, hi, it's Amanda. Welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody has had a great day today. I apologize for the slight delay. I had
It's me. It's my fault.
it
No, it was
wasn't.
me. Tell them the truth.
I had some headphone issues that I had to find to make this possible, but most of you guys probably know who I am. Some people may be from Sloan's channel. If not, my name is Amanda, and I am joined with Sloan today. Most of you
Hey.
probably know who he is, but I will let him introduce himself, and all of his links are down below if you aren't already subscribed.
Hey guys, my name is Sloan, as some of you guys know, and I'm here with Amanda. We want to do an open discussion moment just to kind of hang out and then talk, just because Amanda and I have never actually spoken face to face until like 10 minutes before this. And she's actually one of the only YouTubers she is the only YouTuber I've ever given my number to. So I hope that speaks volumes to how much I trust her and how just kind she has been to me as a fellow human. So Amanda has been a great friend behind the scenes, especially on YouTube, where it's such a treacherous world. So I'm just glad to be here today to talk to her. We've talked about doing this like on and off again. I was like, why don't we just do it and we can have an open moment? And honestly, if you guys enjoy it, we can always talk in the future because like I said, we've been friends for a while behind the scenes and it's nothing new. So I'm happy to like finally be with you on your channel.
It is exciting. I will say, like, even though I have blush on, like, I'm actually blushing for some reason.
Oh.
I'm not that kind of person at all. If you are of age, we are making sure that this is somewhat relaxed for us both.
Out.
Just trying to ease into this. This is the first time I've ever been live or really collaborated face to face with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You will probably learn that I ramble a lot. So
it's
you
okay.
may
That's
have
my
to cut me
channel,
off.
So. And
I
you
may
at
have
least
to
give
be
some
cut off.
praise. I'm like, boom, boom, boom.
I don't know about that. So we're just going to kind of chit chat, let everybody get in. And then the primary plan is, most of you guys probably know, both Sloan and I kind of cover problematic YouTubers. And when we do, the area that we share the most commonality in is going to be about the vulnerable, the people like children, families, calling out problematic people. So near the middle or the end of this, we will probably transition to allowing us to have a conversation together about those topics, because believe it or not, despite us being friends and chatting outside of YouTube, we actually don't talk about our content at all. So it'll be interesting for us to have an actual conversation in relation to some of the people we've talked about, and for Sloan to ask me any questions, because most of you know, if you're new here, I have worked in child protection. I did for 3 years. I also was a child of the system for 10 years. So I have deep knowledge of CPS.
Yes,
so we are going to eventually get to that point. We're not planning on being on here too long, probably an hour max, but that is the layout for the live stream. And if you guys have any questions or anything you want to have us talk about, feel free. We are watching the chat. Just let us know.
Yeah, and that's why I'm so appreciative of your channel, and that's why I've watched you, and I've been a fan of yours before I was even a friend, because you'll say like, oh, I'm a small YouTuber. Honestly, that doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. I still feel like I'm small. Like I just, I'm new to this too. I feel like we're all kind of new to this, and you never know how much your impact truly like is, in the grand scheme of things. And you might see yourself that way, but so many people look up to you. And I love that you have your experience, and that background is just so valuable, especially on YouTube, where we can, disseminate information to the people and also build bonds between each other through like pain and trauma and what we've gone through.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like a lot of what COVID has done has kind of pitted, channels against each other to a degree, if you know what I mean.
No.
Well, I'm not trying to go there. I'm just saying
she's going there.
It's nice to have people who we can rely on and ask for advice. And, we worked together to make sure that we could do this live stream for you, because neither one of us were like super familiar with how to do this kind of live stream without having issues. So, I mean, it's nice to have that actual community type feeling, because that's all you ever hear about growing up is how much YouTube is a community. And then lately, like, parts of YouTube have just been all over the place. So it's nice to know that we can maybe provide an example to show that, like, you can put your differences aside and still have a legitimate, intelligent, coherent conversation despite
Exactly.
different beliefs or different opinions. Because I'm sure at times when we get into like the more serious part of this discussion, we probably aren't going to agree on everything, and that's totally fine.
Oh my gosh, don't get me heated, Amanda. No, I'm just kidding. I'm cool.
So
I'm
I
cool.
feed off of people. So if you get frustrated, I'm going to get frustrated.
No, I'm
if
not
you
gonna get
start
frustrated.
going off, I'll go off.
I'm a laughing person. Like, I'm just gonna be giggly the whole time because I'm just that. When I'm a nervous person, I laugh, which is very unfortunate, especially when you're arguing with someone and you just start laughing. And I'm like, I literally just don't know what else to do. It's like I'm either gonna start like crying or laughing. But no, this is a good laugh. I'm excited to be here. And yeah, thank you guys so much for being nice in the chat. I'm like peeking over the chat. Sometimes I like don't ever look at it. So I'm like really excited to see all you guys joining and being so kind. So we can just go ahead and jump into conversation.
Sure.
So,
I don't know if you have a particular person or family.
I want to go actually off on a rant because I haven't had this moment yet on the internet, just like a 30-second rant. So when it comes to Claudia Conway and her mother, Miss Conway, I actually don't really have any feelings about her besides the fact that she like is crispy, like in the nicest way possible. Like she's just crispy all around, like personality and soul. I feel like definitely put the picture out of her daughter because there's no way that a hacker took this woman's phone and took a picture of her daughter to later keep it and then have a hacker come and release it. I'm sorry, but like I've talked to a few IT specialists who have emailed me. I love when people email me. It's like my favorite thing because I get to actually like have a full conversation without getting lost in the DMs. And they explained to me like throughout how it is exactly impossible that this could have happened. And I feel like that what she did was a crime. And I actually like really respected her because she was the first woman to ever put, a president in office. I was like, go ahead. Anytime there is, a woman or anyone who, isn't the typical in that position, I'm like, go ahead, do it, girl. And she was also on CNN and she did quite well at always like defending him. So she was a beast at doing her job. But when it comes to her family life, her mothering skills are off the charts wrong. And the father is also in the wrong too because he's absent. There's obviously a need for Claudia in the home. So when it came to that situation, kind of like what were your initial thoughts on it? Because I feel like it was a mix of I don't know the language you used on your channel, so I'm gonna say revenge.
I don't care. You can say whatever. I don't care if my videos get monetized.
It's not even like I'll get a nasty email if I say something.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah.
If I do, I don't care.
I almost can't say the words because I trained myself for so long, but is it revenge porn or is it like, because at that point it almost seems like revenge, but it's also, she's a minor. Like, what was your first take on it? Because like first it's child, but then it's also at the point, is it revenge because of their history and their toxic relationship?
So I mean, when I heard about the picture leak, that's what really caught my attention. And I'm on the same sentiment with you that I'm pretty sure the mom did it. My question more comes
sad. Like I don't want to believe it either, right?
I know, but my question more comes from the motive of why did the mom have this photo? Why? Like why on earth would you have a picture of your topless teenage daughter? Like, why? There's no reason for that whatsoever. And the fact that she disseminated it out, that pretty much, depending on where you live and like your state laws, would qualify as distribution of pornography.
Yeah.
As far as like the revenge porn aspect of it, it's depending on if there was an incident. Right? Exactly. If there was
Yeah.
an incident previous to the mom leaking that out, then yes, it could fall under those terms.
Well,
But that's
honestly, there
more,
was actually. I don't know if you were following before that point. I've actually been following it for some times, and I made like maybe one video before on their relationship, maybe two on my second channel. I'm not too sure, but like even the week before, she released like that tape where it was like it was cut into a lot of pieces because it was a TikTok and it's 60 seconds. So she included the worst parts of her mother, and it went viral. And a lot of people think that her mother did that in spite of it. But the whole like I just don't even know when she would have taken that first picture. It's
yeah.
so weird.
I mean, that's weird. I have an opposing argument here, and this is kind of what I posed in my video is from my experience, I have seen vindictive teenagers who will
Yeah.
the photo
Claudia's no
absolutely
angel.
happened. Like the photo
Mhm.
absolutely happened. We know it did. But we really have to think like Claudia didn't go off on all of this stuff exposing her family until her parents had these high positions. Now, it could be she felt somewhat abandoned. It could be
Mhm.
there's emotional stuff going
Or more
on
pressure
why.
being in the spotlight, because I mean, we never heard about the Conways till then, I guess.
Exactly. And that's where my questioning comes from. Being an investigator previously, is what is the change? Was the change that the parents were no longer so active in her life? Was she actually acting out? Like, was some of this planned by Claudia? She's a smart girl. Of course, we have footage of the mom yelling and cursing and
Oh
being
gosh, yeah.
physical with her at times. That is absolutely inappropriate. But we do have to think what led up to that. Something
Mhm.
happened before we see those clips. So as working in that field, I always teeter the line unless I can see the full picture. I really can argue both sides. I just implore people to really think that it could be Claudia manipulating the situation,
Ooh.
but it could be a combination of both, but due to Claudia's age, it is harder for agencies to intervene if a professional agency is coming to the house, like law enforcement, DCFS, whatever have you, and Claudia is not telling them the same thing she's putting online, like she's lying online and she's not lying, or vice
Yeah, and I
versa,
just wanna clarify to
they're
people.
stuck.
People, just so you know who we're talking about there was President Trump, and he once had a campaign advisor or leader
Mm-hmm.
or whoever campaign person that was Miss Kellyanne Conway. She's married to George Conway, who have a very toxic relationship publicly online because the wife,
Their
Kellyanne,
political
she's, yeah,
beliefs are
they're
polar
political
opposites.
opposites. That's a great way of describing it. And they have their daughter, who I believe is she 16? I don't think she's 15, right? She's 16. Her
She's
name is
16 now,
Claudia.
or
Mhm.
17. I think
Yeah,
she might
I think
even
she's
be
16.
17.
Oh,
I
she
don't
might be
know.
16. I don't know. I think it's 16. But anyways, someone will correct us. But
I'm
Claudia,
sure.
Claudia, she is kind of like a troubled teen in her own
Mhm.
way. She's like, had her own issues, and it's actually gotten her a lot of popularity on TikTok, even just like talking like about her own like home struggles, like kind of dissing her parents in some ways. But I see a minor who is crying out for help, who obviously like seems to be like maybe stuck up and maybe like kind of those bad attributes. But when I think about those, I think about the parents and the situation. And I actually watched some of her TikToks just as like a person watching TikTok. I click on
Yeah.
her page, and she is kind of funny, kind of enjoyable, and she, like, I think is just in a really bad environment, and it's public, and that's resulted in her fighting back with her parents. And obviously Kellyanne doesn't know how to act like a adult when it comes down to it. So the other flip side of it is, could you imagine if Claudia did all of it? Like, could Claudia have taken the picture with her phone, posted it on her mom's Twitter to get her mom in, like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
I've
Because,
had people comment that, like thinking
like,
that
oh
that
no.
is the actual motive. And I don't know if it is or not. I don't know Claudia that well. I was more or less speaking on the situation from like
Oh,
my
yeah.
professional standpoint, because so many people are wanting to absolutely damn either party. And it's like, no, we can all give our opinions and how we feel about the situation, but as far as like actually like saying anything, unless law enforcement or an agency comes out and says one or the other, it's just speculation based off of how you interpret everything.
Yeah, it really is. And it's like unfortunate because the way it ended like really rubs me the wrong way because it ended with like Claudia just pretty much like posting TikTok like kind of asking people to back off, and it felt like she was reading something, like she was looking away, looking towards, looking away. Um and being in that high power position, I do feel like worried for her and her like um just well-being, like thinking about like even Amanda Bynes and other people. These girls can end up, becoming really trapped by their parents if their parents want to, because she was crying out saying that police and people were not believing her anymore because, or not even responding because of the, position of her parents and how powerful they are. So I just like, it's so unrelatable, which is like the unfortunate part of it, because I cannot
Yeah.
even understand what type of situation could have gone down because everything in their life is just so out there. It's like at this point, that's why people are even saying that, well, Claudia could have just gone and taken the photo and done it herself. It's like, oh my gosh, guys, at this point, we're accusing a minor of just doing all of that. It's just like,
Right.
there needs to be an investigation, but in our country, will there be a proper one? I don't know, because some systems and things are corrupt.
Yeah, and I'm not foolish to say that these agencies aren't corrupt. But I can say from when I worked in DCFS, if a case came in, because I worked in a town that I grew up in, so if
Yeah.
a case came in and I knew the name and it was being assigned to me, or if it was a public figure of any means and I had any knowledge of anything, whether it's from watching a TV show and then being a member on it and having like a biased, we could not work those cases. Of course, it's up to the caseworker, the person being assigned, to have that moral and ethic boundary to be able to say like,
Mhm.
hey, I know them, I can't work the case. So I mean, I would hope that if agencies are involved, that that's what they're doing, but we also do have to think of that aspect of the
Yeah,
agencies
could
being
there be that
corrupt.
one officer or that? Yeah, and I don't even
It
think of
could
it
be.
as an agency whole thing. I think of it as more like a, I think it does stem from the top, but it could be like, straight down. It's not like the whole, because I'm familiar with some of these like big agencies too in government, and like I know a
Mhm.
lot of people who work for those. And it's not like they're all corrupt, but it's like there definitely can be corruption, and I feel like if you're, I don't know, something with like connections with anyone that has a connection to a president scares me. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
okay,
and I
I'm
mean,
out.
I get that. And I definitely understand that that is a possibility, especially with this case. I just hope that it's not. And either way, she is at an age where she can go through with emancipation. And I know that was something she was
Yeah.
previously talking about, and I don't know what the outcome was. But emancipation isn't that hard as long as you can prove that you can support yourself. So that would just mean Claudia needs to get a
Which she
job and a
can.
place to live.
She gets paid enough from TikTok to support herself, which is kind of like crazy.
I know, but that's where I start to think like,
I guess TikTok.
is there factuality to what she's saying? Because I don't know the New York laws, but the ones that I'm familiar with, it's honestly not as difficult as people make it seem to get emancipated, and her parents wouldn't have any really big say over the courts. Otherwise, Claudia could prove that and sue the court.
They are in New Jersey though.
Oh, New Jersey, my bad.
Oh, no worries though. I don't want people to think I was on my phone. I was putting a little swipe up on my thing. I was like, we're live on Instagram, just so I don't want people to be like, he's texting the entire time that she's talking. Like, no, we're not gonna
I
go
don't
there.
care.
Yeah. So like when it comes to just like these like agencies in general, like I mean, you said you from your own experience you didn't really see that type of like corruption and stuff, but like I kind of want to jump to like I don't know if this is even a case where like it deals with corruption in the CPS, but like you guys know, like the whole Sophie Long situation was definitely very like manipulated, and I feel like they used agencies in different ways to try to do whatever. I don't know. I remember seeing police footage and seeing like reports, and I mean when you look at that professionally, how do you, I mean, do you see that as being like a case that has not been handled properly, or do you even feel like you could speak on that? I know I feel like you can speak. You're getting ready. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Amanda.
yeah, no. I don't mind to talk about it. I've talked about this case before. I don't
Uh-huh.
know of all of the new stuff that's come out. I know about the stuff with like Michael. having a side piece.
Oh my God,
Sorry.
stop. You want to know one thing, one side piece, or one side piece, one side note? Someone messaged me, and I'm not gonna say who they're, but it's someone I've like collabed with on my YouTube channel, which I don't really collab with people, and they know the girl, they know the woman who Michael Long has been having an affair with, like personally, and they messaged me, it's like, hey, I think you covered this, like, can you give me some insight, because I'm getting messages on Facebook from people who know who this like side chick is and like want to know more about her. Okay, but anyways, what were you gonna say about that?
Snap.
Isn't that crazy? I like re-explain.
It's a small world. It is such a freaking small world. People really do not realize. But I talked about this at the beginning, and I teetered the line in my coverage of it very, very carefully, because I have been that worker who has gotten a disclosure from a little girl. I have been that person.
Oh, bless your heart.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard some atrocious things from kids before. It is absolutely disgusting. So I will never discount the fact that she outcried, because they do come out in different ways and in different styles. But I have always said, I have also worked the opposing side, where it is most of the time they're divorced parents and it's a custody issue, and there is a parent doing some coaching and encouraging the child, and depending the age of the child and their intellectual abilities, you know, you can draw your own conclusions to that. But I've worked, and I said it could go either way. But currently, unless we know otherwise, unless I see those DCF records that say what they did, because I never watched the amicus attorney, however the hell you say it. It's not called that in Florida. It's called guardian ad litem in Florida, and in a lot of other places. But I didn't watch that. And I didn't read her journal entries, because
oh my God, no.
That stuff
that was too far, honestly. Some of these people took this story and like made it inappropriate. It made it wrong and inappropriate. Oh my gosh, do you hear the siren?
I can't.
Oh my gosh. I hate how I'm like so close to it all the times, and every time I hear that, I'm like, I get a little like triggered.
I mean, besides that, like, I didn't care to know that information, because it can be twisted. And I said the same thing with how other creators were like leaking documents and showing partial documents, that you can show any clip of anything dealing with children and push your own narrative. That doesn't mean it happened. Without me being able to personally read the entire document and see what was said, I am not going to say that the child was coached or that this actually happened to the child. But what I said and what I had hoped would happen.
People who say that have no right to say that, but I'm glad you're not.
No. But my hope for all of this, when this all broke, was that the agencies involved would put Sophie with a third party, whether that's with a relative or a friend that she knew, until all of this was figured out. Because if it is something where the parents are manipulating her or coaching is occurring, leaving her in either one of their care is risking that to continue. So what I would do if I had been the worker on the case is I would have removed her from both parents and allowed visitation supervised, but had her in a different home entirely, where there couldn't be any infiltrating, because the courts, from what it seems, didn't really know. Like, they were also erring on the side of believing the child, which they always should. But there was still hesitation, and that's clearly also mentioned in some of these reports. So it's like, why leave the child in potential danger either way? That's where I was at with it.
I mean, it got so far to where, like, was there merch sold of her? I don't want to say there was, but was there merch? I'm like,
Michael did put something out for her. I don't know what it was, but I know whenever he was crowdsourcing, one of the things that people were criticizing, and I don't want to make it a mom-dad thing, but people who were saying that it was not truthful, or that there was suspicion to it, that was one of their criticisms of him, was that they were crowdsourcing with merchandise even after there was some kind of something put in place. I can't particularly remember all of the details, but
exactly. Like I don't know. Like I just when you mentioned a bit where like you could take any clip of a child or whatever and just like you could make anything about it. It reminds me of like family channels and like child stars, and like I feel like he took her and tried to make her a star. Like I saw cartoon drawings of her, I saw merch of her, and like I want the best for this child. I'm not trying to diss this whole situation because from the jump, and I think you feel the same way. We both just wanted her to be safe and sane. But I think you and I also agree that we kind of question the parents. That's why I never had Michael Long come on my channel, because I didn't want him to become a celebrity. I'm not here to to do that. I want to report on things that are factual. And I feel like taking him and having him on my channel would have given him the opportunity to spread information that may be just biased, because like you said, we don't know what's going on there. And I don't think Kelly is an angel by any
it would have
means.
pushed you to have been unbiased at that point. I mean, I adore Annie, and I really like the glare.
And I respect that they did that. I'm not dissing them for doing that.
No, and that's what I'm saying. But like, they've put themselves in a position where now they're having to talk about hard topics and almost like have these hard conversations with, even as an adult, like, yeah, we can be bamboozled. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. And I hate that they have to do that. I appreciate the fact that they are so fucking much. Sorry if people are here who don't know I curse. I am a huge cursor. So, well, I realize people from your channel may be here and aren't used to that, but like, I feel for them. Like, I feel for the fact that they're having to address the fact that he kind of coerced them because they have good hearts, because they were doing what they thought, like you and I thought was best, was looking out for the child at the end of the day. And they thought the best way was to help booster this dad. And I don't blame them. I see where their thought process was, but it just is, you made a good decision in that moment. Like, you trusted your gut and you didn't go through with it.
Yeah, and like I don't, and again, like I don't blame them at all, because actually, like if we're gonna talk about like the consequences of the situation, Annie Elise has handled it very well, and I've seen clips of where she's held him accountable and has asked those tough questions. So when it comes down to that, I do think she handled it and she's handled it well. She's not like trying to act like, oh no, that didn't happen. She's like actually kind of calling him out on the internet, and I'm like, okay, like that's probably what you should do. Just because we want to make sure we get the full truth out there, and we don't want to let this pass by. But I do feel like at some point I did watch them like just talking about their relationship and the cheating, and I do have to say in my heart I was cringing, because I just wish it wasn't on the internet, like especially coming from like a home where there was cheating when I grew up. Like, it's so toxic, especially for the child, and I'm like, oh no, Sophie's been through so much, and now there's this cheating thing, and it's just like, I just want it to end, and like end on a better note. Like,
right. And I get that, but you do understand like the importance of that kind of being public now, right?
Yeah, oh, it has to be.
Okay.
I mean, since it all went public, no, 100%.
Thank you so much, Sheila.
No, since their choice to make this public, everything has to be public. And there's a reason why I made a video about him cheating. I made a video talking about that because that affected me personally, and it wouldn't have if he didn't push this to where he was like a celebrity in the movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, once we had the recognition in court and the support behind you, and even the financial support behind you, it could have ended there, but it got way too personal.
The financial stuff is super questionable, though.
How much did he make? Do you know?
It was over 200,000 at one point.
Oh my God.
But has there not been, I haven't been able to watch Annie's recent video or live stream that she did about this. Does anybody even in the chat know if he has provided any proof? Allegedly, a good bit did go to the lawyers, but then why were they working pro bono for any amount of time? Like, I would think that would have been enough money. I don't know. They've shown receipts for the lawyer fees. Sue, do you know how much the lawyer fees were? Did it account for all the monies that we knew the GoFundMe was at? That's what
I have to say something to Sue. Okay, sure. Sue, she messaged something and she said, "Oh, so much. Think you want to say hi real quick? Say hi. Okay, bye."
He can come say hi.
She said you could come say hi.
I see you all the time. You just don't realize. Hi. How are you?
He can't really hear, or they can't hear. He's good.
Yeah, because I'm in your ears.
Yeah, because you're Mayor. Okay, so Sue, she said, oh, so much this crazy YouTube land. Critical K. I don't know if she's asking about Critical K or what, but it made me get a thought that I got an email from Critical K. I've never spoken to this woman before. And she emailed me on January 19th. And she said, I could just show it too. Like, I don't care.
Don't show us your phone, Sloan. Well, you never know what's gonna pop up.
Anyways, she messaged me and said, "Hey," and she spelled the "hey" HEEYYYYY, and she said, "Have you seen my coverage of the Sophie Long case? Smile dash critical thinking plus civility equals winning." And I just didn't know. Honestly, when I first saw it, when I first saw it, I don't even know what to say right now because I'm speechless. I didn't know what to think. But who is this? How would you take that?
Do not.
I'm not responding.
From what I've heard, that particular individual can be. She's toxic. From what I've been told. I'm actually going to be doing a reaction with my members because apparently, if it's alive, like if it's public, she will dox you and like go after you. She's done this to the Glarer. So in order to prevent that, I'm going to be doing that live stream tomorrow with just my members. But from what I've heard is, aside from that,
honestly, we don't even have to talk about her anymore because I don't even want to give her.
No, I don't mind. The one thing I will say is her coverage on the Sophie case was she very much was in the line of
because I did not go watch it.
Supporting, I haven't watched it either, but just from what people left in my comments when I was covering it and during my live streams, she didn't believe the child. She thinks that Michael is a terrible person, which, yeah, he clearly has character flaws, but honestly, who the fuck doesn't? Like, I have character flaws. I was 10 minutes late to a live stream tonight. Hello? I'm a huge procrastinator. I have a ton of character flaws. I will never sit here and say I'm perfect, but all her argument was against the dad and how none of this could possibly true. She was one of the other creators known to call this child a brat. It wasn't just one creator who made that comment. This one did as well. So her coverage was totally opposite from you and what you stand for.
I was wondering, like, is her name Katie? Is that why it's Critical K? I was like,
I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't.
But so I like to know people by their name sometimes. Like, and when I hear like I don't know, it's so weird to me sometimes when people call me SL04 and I'm like, it's Sloan. You have to pronounce the 04. I'm not like a model for, but like I was like, wait, is her name K? I guess it's K. Katie?
No, it's Karen. Sue said her name is Karen.
Oh my gosh, stop. We're gonna have, oh my gosh, stop. Because I don't have any issues with her, and I don't want to have any issues with her. But when she said Karen, I'm just
channel. You're not gonna have the issue. I will, and I don't care. I really don't. People think I give a fuck. I don't. This is a hobby. Like, I don't care.
Oh my gosh. When someone says Karen, I'm just like, Karen, like a Karen, you know. Wow, that's funny. Anyways,
we both laugh.
If you guys have anything else you want us to talk about, just leave a comment below. But wait, I have a question. Do you know who the Joy Sparkles girl is? You may not. Her name, she had another channel named Katie Insight or something.
Wait, yes, I do. Was she the one who, I get her and another girl confused. Was she the one who dated the Russian guy and like did all the weird stuff? Or is she the one who was like in a feud with Onision for a while? Which one is she?
Honestly, it might be all of the above. Right now, she's currently in like a feud with Trisha Paytas, but her name's Joy something. I don't know. She's like someone who for some reason.
Oh, I'm thinking of the glitter girl. The glitter, whatever. Well, her
name is Joy Sparkle something. It's like Joy Sparkle or something.
Yeah, no, I'm the one that is with a Russian boyfriend and that weird stuff.
Oh, is a glitter person?
Yes, her YouTube name was Glitter something.
I don't know. Whenever someone said, I thought that Critical K and Joy was the same person at some point. I don't know if you know who they are, but
I do know who they are. They're definitely not the same person.
I know. So yeah, what do you guys want us to talk about next? I feel like so we talked a little bit about the Conway situation. We talked a little bit about Sophie Long. We could talk a bit about Micah because you know, you've got your adoption history, which I love. Actually, both my best friends are adopted, and just being best friends with them, I've seen like some of just like what it's like to be an adopted person, which is so weird because you would think like, oh, being a best friend, like, well, how would you experience that? But like one of my best friends, she's like very insecure about that fact. It's like something where she had like a 4-year relationship with her boyfriend, never told him that. Like, you know, it's
Wow.
very private to her. It's something like I'm now one of those rare people that know, and I only think I know because I've been friends with her since we were really young. So adoption can be very sensitive for some people, and I feel like I've understood a lot of the nuances of how, you know, this can be a very like sensitive topic for some people because it's not all like butterflies for them. It's not like they just got adopted as like a tiny baby and just were put in an amazing home with parents that love them like no matter what. So when I heard about the Micah Stauffer situation, I was so disgusted to see that this child was pretty much used as a PR ploy or tool or whatever to raise money to purchase him, so the family doesn't lose any money on that. And then after that, because you know they had a fundraiser, and then after that to bring him in and make them a ton of money. So when you like first got into the situation, I feel like that's when I first kind of discovered you. Is around that time is when we like maybe connected. So what was like your, or what is your feeling about that, like from your experiences? I see you guys talking in the chat. Wait, who are they? Oh, they're all trying to figure out who that girl is.
Yeah,
I see. Glitter Girl 17. I'll Google her actually real quick. We'll see.
I was pissed off. I'm not offended by, like, I understand people who do have the kind of relationship that your friend has with adoption. That's why I have put my story out to help people. But I was more mad at the fact that they thought just getting on their channel and being like, oh yeah, sorry guys, I'm just gonna produce all these fake tears and he's no longer with us, which we all know what they said was a fucking lie when they said it. And I knew it was a lie because there's no way any adoption or transition of adoption is that quick unless you're doing it out of context from what any state would require. So I was so mad. It was triggering to me in a different way. It was triggering to me in the way that of the children I've worked with. Being an investigator, and I don't know if everybody understands like the extent of my job, I was the person who would remove kids. I was the person who would go into the home, and then if the child was unsafe, have that conversation with the parents and take the child. I have been there. I have been there with foster families. I have been there with adoptive families. I've been there with biological families. I've done it way too many times. I couldn't even tell you guys. But it was so traumatizing to me in the fact that I knew this little boy who had already been taken from his culture, already been learning a new language, let alone had developmental issues. They have impacted this little boy's life so fucking much. He is going to have so many issues. Like, and I say that with a very, very heavy heart. I'm 30 and I still struggle with parts of my character and like my anxieties that I have because of adoption. I am the hardest person to actually get close to. Like, I will talk to anybody. I care for everybody, but to actually like get close to where I will say I love you, it takes forever. There's a reason I don't tell my subscribers I love them, because I don't say that word unless I genuinely feel it. And it's because I was abandoned, abused, and neglected as a child. And what they did to this little boy is the exact thing. Just because they cared for him, gave him a nice big house, gave him all the toys he wanted, they treated him like utter shit. It is shown in video clips. He was literally used just to promote their channel. And that is what's triggering. That is what's beyond hard for anybody who's been adopted or has lived a rough childhood, because not every child who has a shitty childhood is put in a better one. Some have to just suffer through it. And that's the reality that like society today needs to understand.
Exactly. And I love just hearing, like, I almost feel like I just want you to do a TED talk on this. Like, why do I want to cry right now? I just feel like you have such a good insight on it, and adoption is such a tough thing. And it's also like something that I feel like we look at with like such a light lens or like a light-hearted thing, but there is such a dark side to it. And a lot of times, because my like foster care is very familiar, I'm very familiar with that system as well. And a lot of times adoption is after foster care, and sometimes the adoption is the foster person you were placed with, and sometimes that's not, like, you know what I mean? What if that's not a great environment for you? So why are people being mean? Oh no, okay, they're talking about Micah.
No,
Sorry.
no, yeah,
Just
I
making
thought the
sure
same thing when I saw it. No, and like
yeah.
that's the thing is people, and I don't expect people to go back and watch my story. And I've been thinking about doing an updated version, like a shorter version, because I had what is a somewhat a typical upbringing in foster care. I was moved from home to home to home for 10 years of my life. The last time I checked, and keep in mind, I don't have all of my records. That's an issue that I haven't decided to deal with.
Like
But
your
from the
records, like
records,
on the back end, like kind of like
yeah,
as
like
a
I
worker.
no. As a worker, I can't access them. But as a child of the system, you can access your child records. And I have only gotten a portion of mine. And from the portion I have, it states that I was moved 34 times.
See, at that point, it's like you can't even expect you to be nothing but like numb, right? Like as a child going through that, like, I mean, part of you wants to look at those records just to see, like, I'm sure you've dissociated like from some of it too, and not try to get too crazy and deep. And I don't know how you're dealing with it. We could always talk about this offline too, but like, you know what I
I
mean?
don't care.
That's a lot.
These are the kinds of conversations that I think are better to have online, to be honest, because a lot of my channel, despite like being a commentary channel, is also advocacy. That's why I do open discussion Mondays to talk about real world issues with everybody and what people are struggling with, to provide an outlet. Especially right now, like outlets are needed so much. So that's what I do. I don't mind questions. I really am an open book. If anybody asks me anything, personal life, online life, as long as you're not asking me where I live and what my full legal name is
How can I get
and
to
my
you?
social, I
Where
don't
can I
care.
find you?
I will tell you guys anything. I'm not like that. I want to help people learn. And like, I had a crap life. Clearly, you guys are hearing part of it. I had a shitty life, but you know what I did? Is I did what a lot of people do. Is I took that and I used it as motivation to make sure I could help those people that were in the position I was in. I went and I got my bachelor's in social work with a minor in child welfare. I worked for CPS for 3 years. I wish I was still there. Due to a move, for those of you who are new to my channel,
You'll
I
get
am
there
working
again.
in a different sector, but I'm still serving the public. I'm a probation officer currently. So I still am serving the public, just in a different manner and not a typical PO, just
I
so
think
you
it's
guys know.
like so incredible that your childhood like can reflect in that way, because I also have a similar story too, where I don't even want to get into like some of the things that I like have gone through, and I'm not, thankfully there are people like you who are really open, because I haven't even really accepted some of the things I've gone through, so I can't really open up about it. Like I will fall apart. But like when I think about like my education too, I went to school and like for psychology with the intentions of being a counselor. And even though now I currently do stuff with the data and things like that, I that part of my childhood has always been a part of me and a part of my motivation and goal in life. And I feel like that's the same with you. And I love that you share that with the public and just online, because it's so raw and real, and we need that.
Yeah, I try my best to be. And for those of you who are new, like just understand, if you end up subscribing to my channel, I am not consistent. Sloan is amazing at keeping consistency. You can at least pump out videos every week. There's times that I go a week or two without posting anything but my live streams, because I work a full-time job. I'm married. I have 2 dogs. I have a lot on my plate. And I'm just being honest in this moment. Like, this comes second to me. I will always have this be second for me.
Honestly, me too. And even though my channel has grown, it's very much so second for me too. And that's like why, like, I don't like, I think that's why, and actually I do want to end with Without a Crystal Ball, and I know that's something we haven't even talked about, but I do want to say something at the end.
I'm surprised you even want to say something.
I do want to say something. But like, she's a full-time YouTuber. There are some other ones too, and that's totally fine, and I respect that they can make a career out of this. But like, for me personally, it's probably most likely always going to be a second. And I don't think it would ever be a first. I just don't think that I could even mentally make it a first, because like you said, like, oh, you can pump out videos and stuff, and I have been able to, but it's also so draining that like, it's just like something I'm so happy to have as a second, because if it was my first, it would probably ruin me, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of creators who I feel when they're full-time, it's very obvious that they're full-time. And I don't mean that necessarily in a negative way, but you can tell in the genuineness of the creator, you can tell in the type of content at times that the creator, desperation does come, especially when you're hitting months that you know are going to be low on AdSense revenue. You can tell in their content that they're just grasping at anything just to get a video out to open up that, you know?
I honestly feel for them, because that must be like a really bad feeling, because like, honestly, quarantine has been such a like hard time for, I mean, obviously, but like for everyone, but for me, a lot of my coping mechanism has been to create and stuff, and I think that's been like, that's kind of been my motivator for creating videos. Is like, I'm literally sitting here bored and doing nothing else, so like, I might as well do this. But like, to have that be like, oh my gosh, like, I gotta pay my mortgage this month or whatever, because I gotta create a drama or something, like that really does stress me out sometimes. Just even thinking about that, because it's like, it must add another layer of pressure that I like wouldn't be able to handle with the pressure I already feel sometimes with, you know, having YouTube and having a full-time job and everything else.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine the pressure that full-time, like, especially when you're still building your platform.
We could talk about the Ace family, though. Do you know anything about the Ace family, Amanda? I feel like you don't know anything. Like,
the only thing, the only thing I know about the Ace family is that he gave his niece that inappropriate shaped lollipop. That is all I know.
Like, will never go away. That thing will never go away. So if you guys don't know, Ace family, they're huge. They have 19 million subscribers here on YouTube. There's the father Austin, mother Catherine. They have three beautiful, I almost said four. They have three beautiful children, but the father Austin at one point had his niece, actually had his, well, I believe it was Catherine, so his wife's, like, you know, niece, so I guess their niece, in a store, and she was licking up on a male shaped lollipop, which is obviously so inappropriate, and he was filming it and joking around with it, and it wasn't cute. Someone already disliked it, so I don't know which person who hates me. It's either Lou and Taylor or could even be Cassie. So if you guys do want to like this video, please give it a like for Amanda. She's such a sweet person. Even if you don't like me, don't dislike it because of me. Please just give a like for her, because she's great. Anyways, yeah. So that was a really inappropriate thing that Austin did. What? Why did you say, oh no? Oh, did you disconnect? I can hear you though.
I lost the sound. I can't hear.
You can hear me.
Hang on. I don't know what happened.
I can entertain everyone while we're waiting. So, hey guys, I'm just chilling. Hopefully you guys can hear me. You lost sound too? Okay, you can hear me. Yeah, we can hear you, Amanda. You just can't hear us for some whatever reason, which means your output probably changed on your speaker. I've never watched Sloan before, but I subbed him today. Thanks, Jessica. I'm glad you subbed. We can hear you, Al. Yeah, we can hear you, Amanda. You just can't hear me. That's the problem. Which honestly, like, do you want me just to FaceTime you and then you can just
okay? No, I can hear you now. I
cool.
Opened another window on accident.
Oh, Windows, that dang PC.
Right. Sorry, guys.
No, we're all good. We've been hanging out here. Hey, Kate. Oh my gosh, Kate is like my main mod, and she's here right now. So just I want to say,
aww,
she's like just someone I talk to every single day. So, she's in the UK, so it must be quite late. Kate, make sure you get yourself some sleep tonight. That's my terrible accent.
Is it late there, or is it like afternoon? I feel like it's afternoon there.
Well, I don't know, because it's 6 hours ahead of my time, and it's 7:40 my time. So it'd be 6 hours ahead from now. So, right? Like 2 a.m. has to be. I don't know. Okay. What else do you guys want us to talk about topic wise? Is there something you would like to talk about? I feel like so you can honestly even add to the title. We talked about the Conway situation. We talked about the Long. We've talked about Micah situation. Whenever it came to your last big expose video, did anything ever happen out of that? You don't have to get into details, but did anything happen after that? Because I didn't see anything happen.
Oh, are you talking about the
besides
one?
people like waking up, but
no. And I don't know if it will, to be honest. I could see potentially there being a comeback, especially because there's a smaller creator, even smaller than I am, called Xylee Gets Real, who is she has been documenting in all of his problematic behavior.
Interesting.
And she goes live every Sunday, and she is totally unbiased, a third party, and has watched and documented and is showing like the receipts that mean something.
Yeah.
So I think if anything comes, it's going to be after that, just to target somebody else or once that individual doesn't have content. But the problem that the only reason I think it may not happen is because I think he's learned that I'm going to defend myself. Last time it took me a minute. Moving forward, like I said earlier, I really don't care. Like, this is a hobby. I'm not doing this for money. I'm not doing this for anything other than to have a community. And if I have to stand up for myself or one of my friends, I'm going to, because what else do I have to lose? I let the worry of like people not liking me get to me for like 2 seconds. And in real life, like in my actual life, I don't care. I really don't. I'm known to be a bitch because I just don't care. Like, if you're going to hate on me or not want to like me for whatever flaw I have, that's your opinion. Cool. I don't care. Like, let's move on. Let's not like each other. Let's not talk to each other and like be adults about it. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not expecting to ever have to come out with another video, but what I have, if I ever have to, is going to be damning for that person. So I'm hoping it doesn't get to that point.
Yeah, I agree. Let's just like, I feel like it just needs to, because at some point it's like they're taking things and making it out, like the Brit situation went too far. And I was really like bothered by that, just as someone who's on this platform is like, oh, I don't like this level of bullying. It's actually bullying. Like,
and the problem is, and I'm not expecting people to go back. Brit got the brunt of that. But if you really watch those or listen to those, he is more disrespectful to me because he is including me in all of that, calling me Brit's mod, calling me Brit's shadow, which I was a YouTube creator as well before I love Brit to death. She is one of my best friends, but he was more shady to me and nasty to me than he was to her. Every accusation he put on her, he put on me as well. He just wouldn't say my name, and he kept saying she's been begging me to say my name for months. I don't give a fuck if you say my name, because all that does is cause your little fans to come over and be assholes to me and get blocked from my channel. So, it doesn't do anything if you say my name or not. But it's a respect thing. Like, you can't even respect someone because you think I did you dirty when I really didn't. I was having integrity and being a legitimate person by sourcing something. Sorry.
Yeah, it just makes me sad because I don't know. I always try to think like how it could have been so different and stuff, and like I like, that's where it just makes me sad. Like, I always like, oh yeah, but then at some point it's like I have to just fully disconnect because it's just going to consume.
It gets overwhelming. Yeah, it does get overwhelming. And I've acknowledged in the last video I did, like, I fucked up. I'm not dumb. I know that I could have handled that situation better, but I didn't. But that doesn't give any other creator the right to be the way that ended up happening, like what ended up resulting.
It went way too far, and it was gross. And honestly, when I stepped back and thought about it, I was like, I think that like some of the things I heard coming from that channel, I think was against term of services for YouTube.
Oh,
And
absolutely. I
I'm
have
like,
a clip where he says this should be mass flagged. If any video, and I think I included it in my last video, and some people said they didn't hear it. So I don't know if in editing it got fucked up, but I have it.
I wonder, like, does YouTube just not care about terms of service? Do you think, like, is that
I
just
think
something you
when
put
it,
out because they had to?
no, I think they care, but I
Don't
think
you
they
feel that?
care once it reaches a certain point.
Mm.
I think
Once
once it
enough people complain.
exactly. I think especially when it comes to a smaller create, not that you're not a small
No, I
creator
get it.
compared to
I'm
me,
a small
but
creator compared to a lot of people.
I
But
know, but like, where we're sitting at number wise, like I'm significantly smaller, which is fine. I'm not trying to make this a numbers thing. I'm just saying, like, I think until you're at a certain threshold,
yeah.
like a high threshold, and you have a YouTube manager where you can actually like say your grievances to, I don't think anything's going to be done.
What's a YouTube manager? Do you know,
You should
guys?
be
Or
having one. You're
actually, I'll tell
supposed to get
you.
one.
So I actually reached out because I've had some issues with YouTube and just even like legal stuff in the most recent like year, I'm meaning this year. And I reached out to YouTube and I was like, hey, like I have to go through creator support every single time. I'm sure you've had to do that too, the chat on Google. And I'm like, aren't you able to like apply for a manager at some point? And they told me that they reach out to you when you get a YouTube manager. So they'll email you if you're like
Speaking,
worthy for one, pretty much. But they did email me. I just want to say that though. I
okay,
messaged
so
them,
they
and
did
then 3 weeks
email
later they emailed me. But then they emailed me to apply for one, so I haven't gotten one. But like even if I do get one, like what does that mean? Like what is that like? You know what I mean? I don't know
ask
what they'll
Katie
be able to.
Joy to throw
I
just
mean,
a
I don't
little
even want
shit.
to because they haven't been
No,
able to do
I'm
anything
just
for
shitting
her.
you. No, I mean, they're
whoever her
supposed
manager is needs to get fired. Then
supposedly if you need like assistance or you're having
it
issues,
is
like
Kate.
they're supposed to be able to give you advice and help you work issues out. But according to Katie Joy, not that I'm trying to throw shade, but according to her, they think that it's okay for you to send emails to other creators' business email and CC her manager. So, I mean, I don't know if that was actually advice from her manager or if she just took it a little too literal. I don't know.
Jessie Cat, she said something. I'm sure she's like being like her, but she's like, "Hey, YouTube, I'm kind of a big deal, so I don't have a manager, or are they for problematic creators?" But honestly, when it comes to that, I asked YouTube because I was having these legal issues. But on
Yeah.
top of that, YouTube does not treat creators well. Like you might see my page and be like, "Oh, like now I'm verified, so like, oh, I'm like part of the YouTube team." Honestly, the plaque I had to fight fist for those plaques because they will not give you the plaque unless you fight for it. I had to go and message people. I had to get a code for it. I had to get all these other things, and it took a long time to like get through that process. But it was also like very difficult. So I understand why so many people don't end up ever getting theirs. And the YouTube manager thing too. Like I feel like I probably would have gotten nothing out of that if I didn't harass them about it. But yeah,
I'm glad you actually provide that clarification because despite what people think, like I
they
will
think it's so
throw
easy and
shade
it's
at
like
Katie, but I will
yeah.
also acknowledge when, people are going too hard and people are crossing a line.
Oh,
And, a lot of people have been questionable about her YouTube plaque and the fact that she kept saying she had to ask about it and stuff like that. So I appreciate the fact that you actually like confirmed that it is a hard process to get your
oh
plaque.
yeah. It is, and like Sue said, apparently when you get 100,000, you can apply for one. Well, I don't know if she means the plaque. The plaque you can technically, but you have to get a code that's sent to you through your Creator Studio. Tell me when you've ever gotten any message through your Creator Studio. I never have.
I never
I
have.
only got an email one day that gave me the code, so it wasn't Creator Studio. And then as far as the manager, you supposedly used to be able to apply for one, but then I guess so many people like got managers that they took them up. So now it's on a we'll reach out to you basis. So and then they did reaching out to me, so I applied, but then I applied probably like 2 weeks ago. So it's like I've heard nothing from them, and it's like I don't even expect to. If I get a manager, what will they do? I don't think there will be anything for them to do. There's nothing. I already have Kate who helps me out so much with just YouTube and I have a Facebook page, which is actually wonderful because of Kate. She runs it, and like that takes off just some pressure off of me, and I'm so thankful for people like that in my life because YouTube manager, they're not doing nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know really what they do. We've got Jamal, who also is a creator on the platform, who says that they manage your channel, your growth, and your creator issues. So maybe they would, but I don't think they'd get like that hands in unless you're one of like the top earning creators. I really don't think that they do much.
Myra might have her timeline a little split up, so I might be a little bit dramatic with it. I hit 100,000 probably on, I think I hit it like on Christmas last year. So I got it in 2020, and then I got my plaque like what, a week and a half ago. So it wasn't a year, but I'm by fighting for it. I mean, you don't have to like, if you weren't going to hit them up for it, you weren't going to get it. And then once you hit them up for it, it's going to be like a fight because it has to go through email, has to go through this and that and stuff. So it wasn't like a long time for it, but it was like me bothering YouTube. And honestly, YouTube just like hates me at this point because anytime I have an issue with anything, I'll go and hit them up and they'll be like, you know what? You have no right to do that. Like if I go and complain about a channel that has like some type of like a ABUSC or something horrible on it, and I go and report it, to like, you have no right to do that. I'm like, you only can talk about your channel. And I'm just like, why can't I like, so me just being part of
You're
your
a viewer at
program
the
gives you
same
nothing?
time. And
Yeah, it's just,
like the problem that I have with
I'm
that
such
is
a viewer too.
you're
I watch YouTube all day.
so do I. If I'm not with people, I am playing YouTube on my phone. But like we're also viewers. Creators are typically viewers, unless maybe you are doing it full time and you're so knee deep in like filming content or you just don't give enough. Like I feel like you're actually consuming quite a bit of content. Therefore, like being a creator, you should be able to say like where the problems are. It's like in a I guess this is probably going to be a bad analogy, but for me, it's like when you're at work, right? If you have an issue with anybody or you see where your company could improve, you let upper management know. You like say, hey, this is going on. This is where I think things could change. I would think that YouTube would kind of want the same kind of like baseline.
Like, they're a business, and at the end of the day, they need to recognize that business can go under too if they get enough bad like press and stuff. And I hope that they act like, and actually Lovely Peaches needs to be deplatformed 2021 because Lovely Peaches is a monster. So
I agree.
YouTube, if you want to act like a business and have a good reputation like a business, then you should probably remove people like you did. Well, they demonetized Onision, which he is removing him. He's actually leaving the platform because he's not getting paid anymore. So let's demonetize Peaches. Maybe she will leave, and if she doesn't, we'll kick her out because she has created content that has traumatized me and changed me. Okay.
No, I agree. But the stuff when you bring up Onision,
we talk about Eugenia too.
The thing is, look at what it took to get him demonetized, though. Look at the length it had to go to get him demonetized, and look at Davi Vanity. Is he not still monetized? Who, in my opinion, has done even worse than Onision because although Onision did similar things, what Davi Vanity has done and what people have come out and said he has done to them is far worse.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still on this platform and he's still monetized. So, like, YouTube, in my opinion, like, has no
creating content on YouTube. I'm like, honestly, people tell me to cover him every other like Tuesday, and I'm like, I will, but also I shy away from covering things that a lot of people cover. You know what I mean? Like people will be like,
I try to as well.
Yeah, they'll be like, why haven't you talked about this thing yet? And I'm just like, you know what? Like a lot of other like Spill account, Steam account, Sesh account, like anything, vacuum account, every account has a video on it, and I'm like, they have great accounts with beautiful visuals and great voices. It's like my video isn't going to like do anything, it's not going to go anywhere. I'd rather advocate for something or talk about a more serious topic than like friend drama, friend YouTube drama where like people who are famous on YouTube just became famous for no reason. Like I hate how like YouTubers sometimes think they're celebrities. Like if you have a YouTube channel and it's popular, I don't care if you have 1,000 subs or 1 million subs, you will never be a celebrity. You're just a YouTuber. And that goes for even the people I love, like who I'm not even going to name, but people who are huge YouTubers. It's like you aren't, I mean, you can be an online celebrity or whatever, but sometimes they think they're actually celebrities. I'm like, this is going.
I think the line gets crossed because so much of people's consumption now is online. Like people who used to have cable are no longer paying the cable bill. They're paying for YouTube Premium and they're just watching everything on YouTube. So those YouTubers are almost held to a celebrity. I'm not saying they are celebrities, but the very top earning YouTubers are being treated like celebrities. Look at Jake Paul. No matter how problematic he is, he ends up in mainstream news all the freaking time. Same thing with Tati. Like Tati's whole lawsuits ended up in mainstream news.
I wish it was even more main now. I want it to be like extra main.
I mean, if you know,
there's so did you hear anything about the court thing? Because I heard there was a court hearing, but I honestly like don't keep up with any of it.
In regards to her lawsuit with Without a Crystal Ball.
Yeah, or like last week or something.
Yeah, I've heard bits and pieces about it. I haven't watched. Not that I know of. From what I've seen and what I've been told is the judge pretty much said cut the social media shit.
I heard the same thing too. Yeah, that's
pretty much all that came from it. Like stop or else type thing to everybody involved, like all of the people actually involved in the lawsuit. So I've kind of pulled away from Without a Crystal Ball unless somebody alerts me to something super problematic, because I
like to hear you talk about her, because you always, I feel like I listen to, when I hear you talk about her, it's like, oh, that's exactly what I would think if I was talking about that situation. But I do
super toxic. I do
want to say one thing about her at the end. Do you kind of want to wrap up a little bit, or?
Sure. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
If there's anything else, I'm trying to see if I have an issue you think Sloan will care about. Do you send an email to sloanwellknown@gmail.com? Yes, you do. And Jesse Catch said something so interesting. Unfortunately, at this rate, I fear YouTube will demonetize Amanda Ingzing before the truly problematic creators, which is sad. I don't have anything to say. I just want to read it out loud. And that's about it as far as the comments. So I do want to say one thing about Without a Crystal Ball, just because I don't really like.
You don't cover her on your channel.
Oh, I've never covered her once on my channel. And some people sometimes think that, like, at one point last year, they thought we were like friends or something, which was never the case. She gave me some advice on a legal thing that was going down. And at that point, I had like not a lot of subscribers. And she actually pretty much took advantage of that situation, because she made a whole video, even though she knew that it was illegal for me to share it to her. So her making a video about it proved that I shared it with her. And
I was around during that, and she kept, aside from, I don't know if I know what video you're talking about, but the reason people,
she removed it.
Well, good. But the reason that people think that you guys were tight is because she kept mentioning you, and she kept saying, oh yeah, he's like a son to me. Because this is when I was first, this is when I was first a creator and like introduced to both of you and like super supporting you. And I started to learn about her problematic behavior. This is the time that she called you out on fucking Twitter about your goddamn mask when you did an Instagram live. And I tweeted back and I was like, dude, did you not watch it? He was by himself outside. Why does he need a mask?
If she was my friend or a mother figure, she wouldn't have made a monetized video that would have gotten me legally in trouble. And there are so many other things, but there's one thing, the one thing I wanted to mention at the end, which I thought was very interesting. And there's someone who I'm friends with online. I'm not going to say who they are, but they watch Without a Crystal Ball. And there's actually a few accounts I've seen like that are following her, and that honestly fill my timeline with interesting entertainment, because I cannot believe half the things that she actually says. Like, it's not like people are making things up. That's the thing at the end of the day. No one's making things up. It's actually said. And that's why I'm like, I can reason when people make rumors and go really hard or something like that. But when I see footage of you actually doing it, I cannot, that's not like an opinion. That's me stating fact. But the problem I have, which I thought was really weird, was there was one point when I was so pity and in need that last year she unfollowed me because I subtweeted her, because I said that she was covering some drama that I don't know, that she probably shouldn't have been covering. It was an obvious subtweet to her, and she unfollowed me because of it. Then I like made a whole fit like, oh, she unfollowed me, and then she followed me back. And then some time came by. She actually tried to talk about the Free Britney movement, and she was as bad as CNN, which was pretty much paid off by Britney's father. She covered it terribly. It was the worst I've ever seen of the Free Britney movement, and she's done as much damage as some of the people like Billy B and horrible people in the Free Britney movement. Like, her video is actually toxic for what she did to Britney Spears, and I can't forgive her for that. But finally, the thing I want to mention is that someone who I'm friends with mentioned to me that they follow her and a lot of people follow her or whatever, but they noticed that she, like, I was getting close to her in sub count at one point, and then I passed her and they told me the day, oh, you passed her in sub count, which I don't even really care. I'm not keeping up with them. But I was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And I went to her page because it just made me think of her. And I noticed that she unfollowed me that day. Like, and I swear it was probably that day because I feel like I just saw that she was following me. And then she unfollowed me the day that I literally passed in that sub count. And I don't know if it's because someone like tweeted out and maybe she follows some people on them ghost accounts. I don't really know. But it just reminded me, like, it put like an icing on the cake of like how everything I thought about her till that moment was all so superficial. And then it's all about numbers. It's all about fakeness.
Yeah.
And the fact that she just saw the number go over and that was her tipping point. Like, bitch, my tipping point was so much longer ago and I didn't even tip. So the day I do tip and spill the tea all over everything, oh my gosh. I mean, I would drag her to hell and back, but honestly, I don't even want to do that because it's not even for my mental state. And because it's not even what I'm passionate about. Like I said, I make videos about things I'm passionate about. And she's someone who I just am not. I distance myself from, and she's treated me like I thought she was being nice to me, but she really wasn't at the end of the day. I feel like used, you know?
And I'm glad you kind of say that. And I don't know if many people know my unfollowing situation and like my contact with Without a Crystal Ball, but I started on YouTube as just providing my story. And then what I did was the Micah Stauffer situation happened and I covered that because it was relevant. That's what jolted me into commentary. And then from there, I found you, I found Britt, I found Without a Crystal Ball, and I found BX Beast Boy and Josh. And I was watching and following all of you guys. And then people started making these comments. Then that situation, she was covering some Facebook group alleging that they were child trafficking. And I reached out to her because she used inappropriate language for what she was trying to say. She used the wrong terminology. She provided a wrong message to anybody who knows what terms are. So I reached out to her and was like, hey, like, just out of respect, I'm letting you know I'm going to make a video about you because like the words that you use are not appropriate. And she was like, oh, well, I just use those because that's the context of the Facebook group. And I didn't think to argue her. I was like, okay, that's your reasoning, but that's even worse because you didn't actually follow through and make sure you knew what you were talking about. And then, she had issues with BX and other creators, and I started to be aware and I was like backing out at that point. I had provided a fair video between like my concern of her and BX and that whole situation with like the illegal recording shit. And then from there is when I really started to become critical of her because I was seeing through her behaviors. And I had commented on someone else's tweet, and that's how I got blocked. She was following my tweets, or somebody was following my tweets so specifically that she saw me comment on someone else's
like on Twitter
tweet.
like that. Yeah.
I'm not. I hardly ever comment to anything on Twitter. It's very rare that I do because I don't understand Twitter, and she blocked me. And I was like, oh, cool.
Honestly, I'm so grateful for like what you've made content wise about her, because like I said, it's something I feel like I relate to when I watch you do it. But someone said like, don't give her that attention. And honestly, I will never give her that attention. And honestly, I don't even want to, because she's already gone through so much. I'm sure she's had so much pain. And honestly, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, which is totally fine. And I'm so grateful for channels like Amanda, who, you're respectful, you bring the facts, it's entertaining, love that. But yeah, at some point it gets so toxic and bad that's why I kind of stayed away from her whole situation.
And it's only gotten worse. I've pulled back a whole lot because it's gotten to be such a toxic community that was once so supportive since the lawsuit happened. This is me speaking frankly. Like, since the lawsuit happened, I think a lot of people were like, oh yeah, Katie's finally going to get it. Katie's finally going to get it.
Oh, I don't like that. Yeah.
I don't either, but that's been permeating in the community from what I have seen. And that's why I have retracted. Not everybody is following that sentiment, but a lot of people have become that mind thought, and they're not even realizing it from what I can tell, that this is how they're behaving and that they're engaging in that. So I've pretty much pulled out of that content, and I'm focusing more on like other kinds of content, and if necessary, I'll cover her.
Yeah, and when you do, honestly, do it, girl, because you do it well. But it does get very toxic and hateful, and it just makes me like stressed out, and like me mentally would not do well like in that type of environment. So sometimes when I do see like clips of her, sometimes where people are circulating it, I'm like, oh my gosh, she looks exhausted, she looks stressed out. I'm like, I wish she would just take a break from it. But also, there's that at some points like I think people have been telling her to take a break for a while and just kind of step back.
They have been, but she takes it the wrong way. Like even her supporters are saying, yeah, hey, take a break. And I think she should. I think she should take a break like you do from any job. But I think she's so caught up in like not wanting it to affect her that she's like trying to prove everybody wrong that she can be strong and she can do this. And it's coming back at her tenfold because she is exhausted. So she is reacting out of emotion. She is doing things that she probably wouldn't do if she was able to think logically. And I don't think a lot of people are willing to give her that grace. But I mean, I will. I'm not saying what she has done and has been documented to be done is okay. Absolutely not. Like I give her fair criticism for sure. But at times, like we really need to humanize the situation.
Yeah. And that's why I kind of went in tonight, and that's probably the only time I ever will go in, because I once gave her fair criticism on a video where and it was like Brittany related, and it definitely was someone who was like one of her big fans that just sent it to her that one timestamp, and she messaged me something really nasty, and I was like, you know what, like. And this was the time when like Creepshow and everyone was making their videos. Like, you know what? Like, I'm one of those people who I have actually had personal things that you've done to me that I can make a video about, but I haven't. And it's like, I just think that like sometimes you need to count your blessings. It's like, maybe I'll give you the side eye, but like I would respect any criticism from anyone. Actually, you said something I wanted to bring up. So you brought up that you confronted without a pot to piss. I love how that one guy says that.
Nick Snyder or Dustin Daly.
Nick Snyder. I think it's Nick Snyder. Yeah, with the lips. Love that. He's got like some good like injected lips or whatever.
Yes, he does.
Without a so when you said that you corrected her on some terminology, that was actually something I just went through in the last like 24 hours, or more like 5 days. So I did a stream about Peaches, and I was speaking a little bit about Sia's new movie coming up, which and like has an autistic character who isn't played by an autistic person.
Yeah, I've seen that. There's a lot of controversy about that.
Yeah. So when I was describing on my channel, I used the wrong terminology. I said a person with disabilities rather than an autistic person. And I didn't like, I know I didn't, but supposedly, and that actually, I would love to inform anyone who sees this. If you ever refer to an autistic person, they're autistic person rather than a person with disabilities, because I used to work at an agency where we would put, so you guys know what affirmative action is. They have the same thing for people who have disabilities. So the government has to.
I'll be right back.
Okay, you're
I'm
good.
about to
I'll just tell people. No, go ahead. So the government has, affirmative action, and they also have that for people who have disabilities, and they have to hire a certain amount of people in the government that have disabilities, because those people deserve work too. And I used to work at that agency, so I would help place those people in jobs. And I took a bunch of trainings on how to speak to different people with different disabilities and things like that. I also worked at a care center for people with autism. And when I was describing the movie, I said people with disabilities instead of saying autistic person. And now I recognize that that was incorrect terminology, but I was definitely let me see, which is very offensive, because the autism spectrum is huge, and only 1 to 2% of autistic characters in media are genuinely played by us. Exactly. We need representation. And I believe like the only problem I ran into was that I said people with disabilities rather than autistic person. I 100% stand with the autistic community and the actually autistic community, because we need representation. Trust me, I grew up as a gay male watching only straight people play gay people in movies. I still have so many issues accepting my own sexuality, and I think that comes from just like never really having raw and real exposure to those people. And imagine us watching a movie now about an autistic person, and there's not actually an autistic person playing it. How, like, that's just stepping us back and back and back. We need those people to play the roles that are written for them. I'm tired of seeing women play transgender women? Why don't we get a transgender woman to play that person and pay them? That's an important part. These people are marginalized in so many ways, especially with pay. Why don't we give that autistic person the payment that Maddie was going to get? You know what I mean? There's just so many layers to it. And I'm just talking about representation in media because
Yeah,
there's
I
a
could
lack
figure
of
that.
it, you know?
And which is that actress? I can't think of her name, but she has Down syndrome. And she does such a great job in everything she is able to be a part of. I thought that once she got the roles that she did and she was being like pushed out into the public and like part of makeup companies and stuff like that, that
Mm-hmm.
it would be a change, that they would start including people who have any kind of disability to help normalize it. But unfortunately, it has fallen flat, and I really don't understand why. I don't.
Haley, you're fine. She said sorry for spelling your name wrong. But yeah, and that movie comes out in 7 days in the United States, the CO1. And I just think that they should have taken the criticism from the jump. And actually, the actress Maddie, who is her dancer from Dance Moms, the one who's always been with her, she was very, very open from the beginning that she did not want to play the character. Like she told Sia, I do not want to play the character. It's going to be offensive. And Sia insisted. And now Maddie's in a position where she's going to get a lot of backlash because of what Sia's done. Obviously, Maddie, I think she's still minor. I don't know if she is, but she shouldn't get all the brunt of it. But there are some certain scenes that I saw that were extremely inappropriate, and some measures that were taken to handle the autistic person that was acting the character, and it was wrong, holding them down, one of what I don't know what the term is, constraining them. That's extremely wrong. And it's a bad method that they I guess showed.
I mean, I'm not super, super high key knowledgeable about how to deal with meltdowns and things
Yeah,
like that.
true.
But from what I have learned in the work I've done, at times, depending on the person's level of autism and their triggers and how it manifests for them, sometimes you have to restrain them
Oh
for
God.
safety reasons because they'll hurt themselves if you don't. It's not super common, but it is a practice that people who work in facilities for autistic people have to learn how to do just in case it gets to that level. It doesn't mean it ever should.
It
If
shouldn't be at
somebody's
first, yeah.
Right. If somebody is trained properly, they should be able to take the steps to minimize the meltdown before it escalates to that. But I'm pretty sure that at times it does get implemented.
Yeah, that's just it all. It's such intense work and stuff, and I wish that Sia took more consideration from the actual community, because I feel like the community doesn't feel included at all, and it's something that is representing the community for one of the first times in a long time, and it's a big, huge platform to have. So it's unfortunate, but we'll have to see what goes down. I might make a video about it. I'm still debating. At the moment, but yeah, that's kind of coming up soon.
Little sneak peek.
Yeah. So we were just talking a little bit about Sia's new movie. We are talking kind of about marginalized groups and how some people, are excluded from the industry, and we need to have more representation, whether it's gay people playing gay parts, trans people playing trans parts, or autistic people playing autistic parts. We need to have those people play those parts so that there is clear representation and a great role model for those people who are watching that content to look up to. But do you kind of want to wrap up? Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, I do just want to address Allison. She's asking if she can correct me, and absolutely, you can always correct me if I'm incorrect.
Yes.
And she's saying that there's not a such thing as high or low functioning, that it's more of a verbal, nonverbal, and combined or atypical. I
For
appreciate
autism?
that. Yes, I
Yeah, wait, tell me
appreciate
again, because I want to make sure I get that right. So it's not
that.
high, because I feel like I've heard of a spectrum. So it's not a
And
spectrum.
it is a spectrum, but I believe terminology changes consistently. When I had to
I
do
understand that.
documentation, we did refer to high and low, and I've had doctors tell me that, but my
Sometimes it's not
education's
the
not
best
always
way to,
right, and my
yeah.
education isn't always correct either. Things constantly change in this field, so I appreciate it. She is saying the terms to use are verbal, nonverbal, combined or mixed, or atypical. So
I've heard of actually the verbal and nonverbal, so I need to read up on that.
Yeah, I didn't realize that using functioning, low or high has changed. I appreciate the correction.
Yeah, it's good to learn too, because also there are so many cultural things too. Sometimes I've learned just like being on YouTube gives you the ability to, reach a lot of nations. And some people will share things that they're like, wait, what's going on here? Like random thought. I did like a breakfast mukbang on my like smallest channel one time, and someone's like, that's American bacon. And I'm like, yep, that's American bacon. I guess in Canada it looks totally different. It does look different though. It has like a line through it. Like I looked it up whenever it happened. I need to like. I mean, no, it's not Canada. Did I say Canada? I mean Australia.
I was gonna say, isn't it? Because you can get Canadian bacon here in the States.
Yeah, Australian bacon is like supposedly completely different than American. Yeah, it is. Oh my gosh, it's so much thicker. It's like literally
not even like the thick cut that you can buy.
No, girl, it's thick. It looks like literally chunks of meat. I don't even know why I'm looking at this right now.
I definitely understand that, Allison. I appreciate that. I've never looked up Australian bacon before.
Oh God, yeah, no, that's straight up meat. I said
that
Canadian
looks like
bacon. I apologize, guys.
Ham.
Wait, what is Canadian? Is Canadian bacon a thing? Am I just stupid right now?
No, Canadian bacon is absolutely a thing.
What is the difference though? Then what's Canadian bacon versus American?
Canadian bacon is like thin sliced ham.
See,
like,
that's the type I like.
It's a different part of the pig, I'm pretty sure.
Oh no. Oh my God.
Sorry for anybody who may be
vegans. I know the
vegan. I apologize if anybody in the chat is. I'm not trying to be offensive.
I know we're talking about a lot of things and showing meat. Okay. Anyways, do you want to wrap this up for everybody?
Sure. Yeah. So I appreciate everybody who has joined or is watching this in the replay. If you aren't subscribed, make sure that you subscribe to Sloan. All of his links that he has on his channel are linked in the description of this video. And hopefully Sloan and I can have a conversation and maybe do another.
On my channel too. That would be fun.
I have a topic I want to talk to you about. I just don't want to air it out publicly in case it's uncomfortable for you. So I appreciate everybody who's being here. I hope you guys all have a good day, evening, or night. And I will let Sloan say goodbye, and then I'm going to end the stream.
Okay. Thank you so much, Amanda, for having me on my channel. Like I said in the beginning, she is one of those people on YouTube that I actually gave my phone number to because she's someone who I trust and who I think is loyal and genuine. And as I watch her channel and grow to know her more, I'm just so thankful to have that person I can rely on, especially in an environment that is so unsure like YouTube. And even if it's just that one person, I'm fine with it. I don't need to be friends with everybody. It's just nice to have that one friend. So thank you, Amanda, for having me on my channel, or having me on my channel.
Yeah, right.
About me, isn't it? Thank you for having me on your channel. It was so nice to talk to you about these topics, and honestly, it was nice just to feel a little bit more relaxed on a stream because I feel like I'm always just like so tense and like hyped up. So thanks for having me, and I hope we can do this in the future.
All right, bye guys.
Bye.